So as back to school is rapidly approaching, I thought it would be cool to give first year teachers a few tips from me, a fourth year teacher. Now keep in mind, I'm not talking about like get the bean bags, the LED lights, the backdrops, like none of those things will come naturally to you. These tips will help you make it through your first year so that you actually come back for the second year. So the first tip is to maintain your boundaries. There's other teachers, admin, your students, and parents. Having a set time for when you're going to respond to parents. Having expectations for like turn-in, for late work for your students, how your classroom is going to be kept, how it should be kept, right? How you all are going to create a space that is inclusive for everyone. Like those types of boundaries need to be set in stone in the very beginning. And as far as your administration goes, be very clear about what you can and cannot handle. When admin knows that you adapt really well, you handle pressure really well, they'll try to throw things at you that you actually probably are not ready for. Sometimes expect you to just know what to do. Don't let them put anything on you that you're not ready for. Being able to say, you know what, I actually can't handle this right now, works a lot better. But being honest about what you can and cannot handle and making that clear from the start can definitely save you a lot of trouble. And don't be afraid to tell admin what you need from them. That is what they're there for. They are administration for a reason. Even though sometimes, you know, we kind of wonder why. Which brings me to tip number 2. Ask for help from a mentor teacher whose values align with yours. You're more than likely going to take advice from someone who you find has the same values or who wants to run the classroom in the same manner that you do, to piggyback off of them, see what they're doing, how you can adapt it to your own practices. Which brings me to tip number 3. Observe other teachers' classrooms if you can. Ask, of course. Some teachers are kind of finicky about that, but for those who will allow you, when you are observing their room, take note of the language they're using, take note of the rules and routines they have in that classroom, take note of what the teacher is doing, take note of what the student is doing. Make these mental notes so that you can see what your students are like in other rooms besides yours, in addition to seeing what practices that teacher is doing that you can sort of emulate or align with their curriculum or routines so that students are getting similar experiences as far as academics across the board. It can also help you identify areas of growth or improvement in students. And this brings me to tip number 4. Hold your students accountable. I cannot say this enough. Please hold your students accountable. This one can be tricky sometimes, especially if you have a certain kind of administration or a certain kind of teacher. It just can get a little tricky, okay? But please remember to stand your ground. Stick to your values and how you run your classroom within the rules of your school, of course. Sometimes administration will try to get you to be a little more lenient with students based off of like sports performance. It's a whole nother story, child, okay? But be firm in your ability to hold students accountable. I promise you it's actually beneficial. Don't forget, as a teacher, you took on the role to be a part of that child's village, right? It takes a village to raise a child. Congratulations, you are part of that village. And so you need to hold them to a standard so that they are successful people in society. Remember, we are raising the next adults after us. And like, who's gonna do our taxes, y'all? Who's gonna do our taxes? Don't ever get sick, because what? Remember, you are a part of shaping who that young adult will be. And holding them accountable makes them aware of what they're doing aware of other people, how other people view them, and how they interact with other people. So hold them accountable. Boundaries and accountability. If you remember nothing that I say out of this entire video, boundaries and accountability. And tip number 5 is to remember to have fun. Be creative with your assignments. Try to add in pop culture references, friendly competition, breaks throughout the lesson. Children's attention span is very low at this moment, and to be honest, a lot of them can't really sit through an entire lecture. So do a lot of hands-on activities, things that they can collaborate with each other on, but also while they're working independently. I think there's a really good balance. If you can figure it out, and it's gonna take a while, don't stress, but once you figure it out, there's a good balance. I'm in year 4, I haven't figured it out yet, but it's coming. It's coming, I could feel it. And those are my 5 top tips for first year teachers from a 4th year teacher. Hope it helps.